You're listening to Entrepreneur's Enigma, a podcast about the ups and downs of the entrepreneurial journey. Every week, your host Seth Goldstein interviews entrepreneurs from all walks of life about their entrepreneurial journeys. From store owners to Fortune 500 CEOs, we all have stories to tell. So sit back and join us for the next 20 or so minutes while we explore the entrepreneurial world. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I'm, as always, your host, Seth. Today I have a very good buddy of mine. We go way back. Jim Gianoglio. I knew him back when he was at Tullis, and then he made the choice to take his wife's name, and he made it so much harder for everyone else to pronounce his name now. Damn you. Anyhow, good man on that front. Good man all around. Jim and I know each other back from our journalism days. Way back in the early aughts, he was a photojournalist. I was the kid reporter at the Evening Sun in Hanover, Pennsylvania. Way back when, where cows outnumbered humans. And then Jim left. He did some things, for biking was it a biking or outdoor magazine?
Yeah.
And then you jumped ship before I did, and you went into analytics.
Yep.
And all that geeky stuff. I was like, wow, he went from photography to analytics.
I actually started off in SEO. Yeah.
What's that?
I actually started off in SEO. That was my first entrance.
Oh, there you
and
go.
Then from SEO into analytics.
Yeah, but so you got to think about it. I guess photography is kind of analytical and data driven, and you kind of have to know the f-stops and all that stuff to get a good shot. So I guess it's kind of mathematical, whereas I went into digital marketing and kind of avoided. I have to do analytics, but I'm not as much of a gearhead, not even close as much of a gearhead as Jim is here. So Jim is the president and chief bottle washer over at Cauzle. And he did eventually escape the corporate grind and open up his own shingle. You also have a podcast too.
I do.
What's it called again?
It's the Measure Up podcast. Me and my co-host Simon Poulton try to do it a couple times a month.
That's fun. Yeah. What's it called? Measure Up. I like that.
Yeah.
It's very about analytics, talk about SEO, talk about, the tech world. And it's fun. And Jim is based out of Pittsburgh. So he's literally due west of me. Literally, you drive out the turnpike, you aim your car straight and try not to fall asleep.
And just drive for a very long hours. It should be a different state, really. It should be like West Pennsylvania and East Pennsylvania.
And nothing in the middle.
Right.
It's Tucky in the middle. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Pennsyltucky, because it's literally nothingness in the middle. Literally, there's more cows than humans. So anyhow, how's it going, Jim? You have snow out there today, and we're recording this at the beginning of the year. Happy 2025.
Yeah. We got a little snow. Kids still had school. They were hoping for a snow day, but nope, they had to go off to school. So.
Yeah, because you get the lake effect snow from Erie, because you're only 2 hours south right now.
Well, no, we don't get too much lake effect. It's just normal. We're a little bit south for that. So.
Yeah, you're kind of. I think you're in the same parallel as Philly. It's just
pretty much, yeah.
West.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're supposed to get snow. We're just kind of dating us to the winter, but whatever. It's coming out in the winter, so we're fine.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to get slammed, both of us, by snow patch today and on Monday. So.
Yeah,
should be interesting.
Bring it on.
Snow day. They just got back to school and they're gonna get a snow day.
If it's gonna be cold and cloudy, there better be some snow with it. At least make it fun,
We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. At least once this season. Last year, I think we got snow once, and I was like, all right, that's good. I'm good with snow once. We're supposed to get snow a lot more, but we're not gonna get into that. So, Jim, how does one go from photography and photojournalism to SEO and then to analytics? Tell me the trajectory. Who's Jim and why should we care?
Yeah, well, I don't know that anyone should really care, but I'll try to just tell a compelling story to make it somewhat interesting.
Exactly. You are a journalist by trade anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, we are of a certain age where people like us didn't have a normal trajectory into what we do now, right? There was no go to college and learn digital analytics or marketing. That wasn't really a path, right? Yeah. So I actually, when I went to school, my undergraduate is in graphic design, commercial art and graphic design. But when I was an undergrad, I flipped back and forth a couple of times. I changed my major to computer science. and then changed it back to commercial design, and then went into photography and kind of went into photojournalism, shooting for newspapers and everything. But I've
Yeah.
always had that sort of computer side of me that liked learning with code and trying to like tinker around with the innards of computers and things like that. So
Very cool.
my interests have always sort of kind of gone back and forth in those areas. So it was kind of natural for me to, after a stint in photography for about a decade, kind of ended
About
up
a decade. That's all. About a
yeah,
decade.
just a decade. Moved into well, the short story long on that was that I was working for a publication called Glucose. It was a regional. It was in Ohio. They did outdoor and adventure sports. So for 6 months, my job was to go kayaking, hiking, camping, mountain biking, running, and write stories and take pictures of it all. And it was the dream
Sounds
job of a
terrible.
lifetime. And it happened for 6 months. And then the guy, I was the first employee. The guy who hired me started the magazine, but he had one guy who was basically providing the funding. And that guy, I guess, got cold feet and said, no more funding. So we were out of a job. And I
Oh.
found that out the day I got back from my honeymoon.
Oh, geez, great timing. Yeah, that's
So,
fantastic. Yeah.
I kind of scrambled a little bit, and that was sort of my entrance into sort of the marketing side. I actually got a job at a newspaper. It was what I knew, and I had some connections and some network, and
Yeah.
got a job writing obituaries for a while, and then kind of
Oh, yeah, that's when you know you've made it.
oh yeah, obits. That's where it's at. But then there was an opening in the advertising department of the newspaper. They were trying
Back
to
when there was still advertising in newspapers.
yeah, yeah. They were trying to start up their own like marketing department to
Yeah.
offer more than just, classified ads. They wanted to offer like website design and TV commercials and radio commercials. They wanted everything. And I'm like,
Diversified. Exactly. They were grasping at straws at that point. Yeah.
exactly. And so, I lied my ass off and said, sure, I can do all that. And then I quickly had to learn all that. So that's where I kind of found out about SEO, and long story short, now I'm here. So
That's fun. Because because now newspapers are very much not the thing, but online publications now are like saying like, hey, we have an advertising wing. We can do X, Y, and Z for you. We can help you with this. We can do geolocation. We can
yeah,
do geo-targeting and geo. I'll get the word out eventually. Geocaching, not geocaching. Whatever the heck it is. But where they can you can put a box around a certain area and target ads just to that area. I think that's
right.
geotargeting.
Yeah,
But
geotargeting.
yeah, that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun. I mean, newspapers and publications are pivoting to the more digital marketing space because they have to.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game.
Well, it's
State of our
funny.
media.
The best quote when I told the director of marketing at the newspaper that I was resigning because I got a job doing SEO at a company called Lunametrics in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
She looked at me and said, "You're making the worst decision of your life. This will never pan out." And we know how that worked out for newspapers and
kind of
for
flipped out the wrong way.
individuals. So,
Yeah, it panned out for you.
well, hindsight's always 20/20. So,
Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? So you're, you've worked for corporate, you've worked for the man in digital and newspapers and magazines. You've done a lot in your young whippersnapper days. I mean, you're around my age, so I can say that. So, so you're busy, at Lunametrics. You're doing SEO. You're figuring out how to not tick off Google, but also game Google at the same time. And you're trying to figure out, how do you get from? I guess it's kind of a clear line from SEO to analytics, sort of. I mean, because SEO analytics kind of go one and the same because you got to track what you're doing and all that good stuff. But how did you find your way to the big dog, big data analytics that you're doing now?
yeah. I mean, so I was in SEO for, I don't know, 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And I was always more of a technical SEO side of things. I always hated link building, like reaching out to bloggers and saying, "Hey, I noticed you wrote about this thing. This company has another thing. You should write about that and link to it." Like I hated that. That was terrible.
Yeah.
I hated my life with that. And it got to a point. I was working with some larger clients at the time. I'd left Lunametrics, went to a different agency in Pittsburgh, and was working with State Farm and General Mills and some kind of
Big
good
brands,
world-class brands.
Yeah.
But I was getting burned out, and Google was doing the black and white animal updates. So if you remember Panda and Penguin,
Mm-hmm.
that was the straw that broke my back. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. So I had a chance to go back to Lunametrics, but doing analytics instead of SEO. And I was like, thank you. It was like SEO always felt a little bit to me like, like it was pseudoscientific. Like
Yeah.
the great people were doing some good research, like Rand Fishkin and the
Yeah.
likes of like actually trying to figure out what the algorithm was doing and do it somewhat scientifically. But it was very much like, I don't know, get more links and
Yeah.
do
Throw shit at
this.
the wall and see what
Yeah,
sticks, kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like the getting into analytics felt a little bit more structured for me. It was like, okay, we put code on a website. It gives us numbers. We look at the numbers. We create charts and graphs. It's just a little bit more straightforward. So that was kind of a nice
Concrete.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so then, when did Cauzle start?
Cauzle started 1.5 years ago.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Cauzle. Put the
Yeah. Cauzle.
emphasis in the right syllable.
Well, it would have been spelled Causal, like causal inference, but the
Yes.
domain wasn't available. So, you got to go where there's available domains. And I kind of like causal, Cauzle, kind of have a nice little twist. But
Yeah.
no, I started about 1.5 years ago,
There you go.
July 1st of 2023.
And so you jumped out, and I remember when we talked previously. You were like, "All right, let's get started. Let's jump in. Let's figure stuff out. Let's, you got some big clients coming in, and then they start, finishing up, and you're like, oh crap, I got got it. It's not gonna be handed to me. You gotta go figure it out again. How's
Yeah.
that been going for you?
Pretty good. I remember, I talked to a lot of people as I was just starting off, trying to get
Yeah.
perspectives from everyone I could. And multiple people told me what I've found to be true in my own experience now, which is as a consultant, you have one of two problems. You either have too much work or not enough work. That's it. Those are your two problems.
Nothing
One
in
or the
between.
other, never in between. And, it kind of has borne out so far, at least, when it's just yourself, right? Because you're either super busy doing the work and taking your foot off the gas of the marketing, or you're going all in, like trying to build the pipeline and not quite enough work. So it's kind of been there, but I've been lucky. I've had a few good opportunities, a few good clients that have come along. I'm focused on sort of more long-term engagements, so 6 to 12-month engagements. So that kind of
Those are
helps smooth
nice. Yeah.
things out a little bit, but it also means that it's larger projects, larger price tags, longer sales cycle. So,
Yeah.
but so far so good. I have new clients starting next week. I'm
Woohoo!
excited to work with them. And that'll take me through the first half of the year. So
That's great. So, all right. So you've done, like we said, you've done the corporate, you've done the newspaper route, you've done kind of like a mixed bag of all kinds
I
of
did
not
have a
working for
newspaper route.
yourself kind of stuff. Yeah.
I
What?
did have a newspaper route as a kid too. So I've
Oh,
always been
wow.
in
You've really,
newspapers.
exactly. There you go. Throwing stuff in bushes. Exactly. So, what in your mind is the best thing about being an entrepreneur now that you're actually in the thick of it?
Oh, the best thing. I mean, you can't beat the flexibility, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
With
I would
especially when you
say,
have 3 kids.
yeah, I do have 3 kids, ages 8, 13, 14, middle school,
Always doing something. Yeah.
elementary, middle school, and high school, all 3 levels. So, you need that flexibility, especially my wife's a teacher. So she has flexibility in
Talk
terms of,
about structured. You get in,
yeah,
you teach, you get out, which
yeah,
is nice to have at least one person in the family have some structure because we're all willy-nilly.
yeah, exactly. So it's not, and I can't really complain because I had this pretty much the same amount of flexibility before when I was at Bounteous and Lunametrics. It wasn't that much of a change when I went off on my own. It was kind of more of the same, really. So
Yeah.
that didn't change a whole lot. But I mean, just being the one in control and doing what to be right and good, and going in the directions that you feel are the right directions to go in, and not having to check with your boss or get
Well, you have to
approval.
check with your boss. You check with your
Yeah, I
wife,
mean,
but that's about it.
yeah, you go into conferences, and there's always money in the budget for conferences now. So there's never not money
Exactly.
for budget for conferences. So that's nice.
It's always fun. It's always a good time. So then what keeps you up at night besides the family? Well, I can actually be the
Yeah.
family too, but as an entrepreneur, lots of stuff keeps us up. What keeps you up?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just keeping the client pipeline, the prospects, which is, again, it's hard. You get that big client and a few other clients, and now you're so busy doing work. It's very easy to kind of take the foot off the gas.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm really trying to focus on a little bit, at least early this year, is keeping the efforts to fill the pipeline and keep that going. So
It's tough. You gotta keep your feet on both pedals. It's almost like driving a stick shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
One foot on the clutch, one foot on the gas, and forget about the brake because you can't really brake. If you brake, you're gonna lose your business.
That's
So
right.
you gotta keep
Yeah.
going.
No break.
Clutch, shift, and accelerator. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time? And this can be physical, metaphysical. You can go as woo as you want to get. You can go as servicey as you want to get. Have fun
What
with this
the
one.
most important thing I carry with me?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Oh, I didn't know you were going to ask hard questions.
That's the only one. That's the only one. That always gets everybody. Exactly.
I could take this a couple of different directions.
Let's go there.
I'm probably going to go like top of mind, and I'm going to kind of weave two of them together. I'm going to do the weave, and say, I'm going to say it's curiosity, like just constantly being curious about things and understanding how things work, and interested in learning them.
Yeah.
And specifically around accounting, because this is an area that I was never formally trained in. But like when I started the business, it was fun. Like open up QuickBooks. I'm like, oh, some new tools and software. Let's figure out how this works. And like,
you are a strange egg.
And then you have to.
I hate
like,
QuickBooks.
Accrual versus cash accounting. Like I'm still.
You're also an analytical guy, so it makes sense. You're like, this is cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I still have to get on the live expert help with QuickBooks at least twice a week. But
what did I do? What button did I press? Or where is this button since you redesigned?
There's so much that's not intuitive about QuickBooks. I'll tell you, it's learn new every day.
It was like Adobe. Honestly, it's like Adobe. Adobe products started out as I think a mapping tool for aerial photography, and the stuff's still in there. I mean, if you look, there's still like stuff in there from aerial, like 1 pixel selections, horizontal and vertical.
Really?
They're only for mapping.
That's
and
funny.
it's like, and so I feel like QuickBooks is the same thing. They add stuff, but they don't take stuff away.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's wild, man. It's wild. So curiosity is your big one. That's the big one. Is being curious.
Stay thirsty.
Stay thirsty, my friends. wait, where is that? Is it Dos Equis?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, stay thirsty, my friends. That was a good campaign because you remember. Actually, it's a very good campaign because you remember the name and you remember the reference, and
the fact that you remembered it was Dos Equis is good, right? Because if you thought it was Modelo, then they would have failed
miserably. Exactly. That'd have been bad, dude. Bad, dude. So, Jim, where's your watering hole online? Where do you hang out the most?
Oh, yeah, LinkedIn is probably the top place. That's just where I try to contribute the most and stay active there.
And on your site and on your podcast.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I do have
also, so you can find it. So you don't have to try and spell it the weird way.
Yeah. Also do have a Slack group that I started about a year ago. It's MMM Hub, MMM for marketing mix modeling, which is what I do. So it's the MMM Hub. I technically have a newsletter as well as the Slack group, although I've been slacking with the newsletter.
Exactly.
But the Slack group is great. There's about 500 people active in there every day, every month, and all talking about marketing measurement, marketing mix modeling, testing, all kinds of fun stuff.
All the geekery in Slack. That's awesome. I think. Well, Jim, this is always a pleasure to talk to you. Love chatting with you, buddy. You're an old friend, and it's good to see that you're kicking ass, taking names,
chewing bubble gum and kicking names.
Something like that. Yeah. Whatever it is, you're doing a good job. You're living the best life. The family's happy. I'm thrilled. So
absolutely.
Awesome.
It's always great catching up with you.
Always a pleasure. And we'll see everyone next week.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please consider giving us a review in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps us reach new listeners. If you like Entrepreneur's Enigma, consider the other shows on the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net.
Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.